welcome to Netflix and Kill Anime Edition, guys. I know, we're getting so animated, and who's getting animated with you? Why, it's me, Nick, the Merc with the mic, and my fellow Unapologist, the god of the pod,
Travis.
And, of course, our special guest Unapologist, who we bring on anytime we want to talk about, well, superheroes, animes, you know, some real nerdy stuff. We always like to bring Ed on. Ed, say hi to the people.
Hey everybody, and you only bring me on for the important things, because anything besides superheroes and anime is not important, not at all.
Ed, I'm so glad you said that. That's just profound. I agree wholeheartedly with that. And you can listen to Ed on his podcast, his anime podcast, the Oda Brothers. In fact, you are known as Otabro Ed. Am I saying that right? I got it right this time, right?
Oh yeah, no, dude, you have perfected it.
So, this is going to be fun because today we're talking about Devilman Crybaby. And we've had Ed on before to talk about, let's see, Attack on Titan, My Hero Academia. I think some other stuff was gotten mixed up in the conversation. So it's really
I made you guys watch Frankenstein Girl versus Vampire Girl.
We were actually going to forgive you about that, but you mentioned it again. So
I actually forgot that we watched that one.
Oh, lucky you. Many people can't say that.
It's on Verve, so every once in a while I see it and I go like, God damn it, I've watched that thing.
Man, we recorded the commentary, but wouldn't it be fun to actually watch our own? I don't even remember the commentary for it anymore.
I remember.
Was it just an hour and a half of us going, what the fuck?
I think it was mostly an hour and a half of Kyle doing that, to be honest. He was very vocal about his hatred of the movie.
I listened to it at work and I didn't even need to see it. I knew exactly what was going on and I was just enjoying myself.
Well, I like to be descriptive in my cries of terror. So I feel like you don't even need to watch the movie. But we are, of course, this time talking about, an interesting show because this time we're actually talking about a bad anime. So that's really interesting to me.
Oh boy.
I hope you mean bad as in good, because
like the Michael Jackson bad or the Prince bad, like that bad.
Oh yeah, this thing is hella bad, sick, and dope.
So people are talking about Devilman Crybaby.
Is my body? What happened to it?
You're a man who possesses both the body of a devil as well as the heart of a human. Devilman.
We'll uncover crimes committed by devils who are now hiding as humans.
Just promise to let me know if you need anything, okay? When I'm out on the track, I try to beat her every time.
This is a huge scoop. It'll be a broadcast disaster.
The world will realize that demons exist. What did you think humans would be like when they found out about demons?
Why do you have to do this? Why do you hate each other?
This level of sacrifice can't be helped.
That's also something that a human would do.
Oh my god!
You have to face the truth. You're one of us. You can no longer deny it.
Do you think that demons are capable of love?
Your choice, Akira.
I've seen the hype train, with a few exceptions of detractors like myself. Ed seems to be on the side of that it is amazing. Netflix's gem, I believe, is some of what the articles are calling it. Netflix has finally made a good anime, to which I would say, how bad are the other anime on Netflix?
Oh, they're pretty bad.
Oh, they're pretty bad.
They're
pretty fucking bad.
That's what I hear. I hear that they're really bad.
We're recently watching another one that they have started airing, Fate Apocrypha.
Yeah,
and that one's good.
That one's not too bad. Like that,
that's the thing. That's Netflix original anime. They just slapped their name on it.
Yeah.
They actually put money into Devilman Crybaby. This is the first thing they funded and done that was good. Not just slap their name on it.
I'll tell you what, we're going to remain fair and impartial for this first part of it. So we're going to have Ed. Ed, why don't you describe this overly hyped show and why you're wrong for liking it?
Okay, so am I throwing spoilers to the wall? Because that, just knowing spoilers, no spoilers, depends on how I describe it. We're going to do no spoilers
for the first segment, and then we'll go into a spoiler section later, because it's a really recent show. I don't want to spoil it, but...
yeah, no, that's what I'm saying, because how I describe this depends, whatever. Okay, so Devilman Crybaby is the story of, Akira, whose childhood best friend, mysterious, super rich, super smart best friend, from childhood.
Rio.
Rio.
Name, yep.
basically turns his best friend into a devil, the Devilman, the half devil, half human hybrid, for the sake of researching these devils and finding a way to stop them. And that is as basic as I can describe it without really going too much into it.
Yeah, so Akira, during this investigation, Akira becomes actually possessed by a demon, but the demon doesn't take him over. He actually retains conscious control over his demon form, hence becoming the titular Devilman. And the crybaby element comes from the fact that he is a blubbering pussy in the beginning part of it, and throughout the rest of the series too, cries almost empathically, like he's almost like an empath of like feeling the pain of others.
He's super empathetic about it. They actually mention it in the series. His love interest / best friend Mickey, she says how he doesn't cry for himself. He always cries for others.
Mm-hmm. And you know what? I'm not gonna lie, the first half of this show, I'm like really into it. I like the art design, I like the style, the animation, is very neat and slick. The over the top gore and violence is very funny. Like, it is just like, I get the distinct vibe of the show of like, I've watched High School of the Dead. I'm like, yeah, let's have some fun here. And the introduction of some of the smaller characters, like Miko, who used to be Miki, is actually an interesting character that is introduced early on. That actually gets like a whole almost episodes unto themselves with the other.
Oh yeah, she gets developed.
Mm-hmm.
In more than one way. Aha!
Aha!
Had to go there, sorry.
But yeah, so it's like at the first 5 episodes, I'm like, oh yeah, I see why people are really digging this show. It's silly and over the top, but it's a fun time. I don't know, Travis, how'd you feel about it in the first part of this year?
No, I thought the beginning, like half of this show was just amazing. Like, it was like, oh my god, this animation is beautiful. Like, it's kind of just this dirty, gory, just kind of awesome looking art style.
Well, even that first rave that they go to,
yes,
it's just a wonder to behold this
the Black
amazing
Sabbath
carnage. Like, is that what it's called, the Black Sabbath?
I believe so, or just Sabbath.
Awesome.
Yeah. And I mean, even just the premise is kind of cool. Like, I've never actually seen any of the other Devilman series, so I know generally what I was getting into, but this was just like, wow, so we're really going over the top with this. I love it.
Yeah, and it's not afraid to get weird. Like, there's, demon tits and like that will murder you, and just the scare of the weird designs of the monsters and stuff like that. And plus I really like the design of Devilman himself, of like this Chernobog looking Batman type creature. So yeah, I thought really, like, I'm like, oh, I see what people are talking about. I don't think I was as big up on it, because I did thought, like, okay, I have some problems in the writing in the first couple 5 episodes, but nothing too major. The show doesn't seem to want you to take it that seriously. And Ed, since you like not only the first 5 episodes but the last 5 episodes, I'm assuming you were really digging the beginning part of this too, right?
Yeah, I kind of came into the series semi-blind. I watched it with my roommate who was familiar with the Devilman franchise and everything, and he kind of explained to me, and I don't really care so much for spoilers, so he spoiled some things for me, but kept certain overall things hidden. So I knew what I was getting into. I knew what to kind of compare it to, because he like described the original Devilman series and manga. So, like, I was like, alright, that sounds pretty cool. I don't know how much of this Netflix is actually gonna do and show, but we'll see. And then my jaw just dropped from episode 1 of, oh, okay, so we're going there. Awesome.
No, it's ballsy. I gotta admit on that. It'll go to places that that you wouldn't expect for like a Netflix made show. Like it seems like I don't know. If you're not up for the gore in an anime, it's
totally not for everyone content wise. Like it
yeah,
is
like it's still like below Elfen Lied, but it's
oh no,
It's
I no, it's there. I think I'm actually not too familiar with Elfen Lied like in my mind currently right now, but there's a lot of carnage and tits and sex and really pretty fucked up shit in this series.
it's like Gantz with likable characters in it.
Gantz is still kindergarten compared to this.
Yeah, well, it's so violent at certain points that I can't help but laugh, just like at the uber violence of like, oh my, this is so ridiculous. So, and apparently in this universe, people are just filled with like, again, blood sacks.
Yep.
Like just that people are mostly blood.
I mean, if you look at the character designs, they are kind of like if you squeeze like a water-filled balloon.
You know what I also like about that first series is that Akira transforms his body. His new human body is transformed because of the demon possession, and everyone actually notices. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of anime that would treat it like he doesn't look any different. And I actually like that when he goes back to school, is like, who the fuck is that kid? I think that's Akira. Really? And everyone's like, what happened to him?
Yeah, the one person's like, even like, gross, that's too much of a sudden change.
Mm-hmm. And then of course, like,
but all the girls really liked it.
Well, I mean, look at the bulge in his pants. Like, there's
when you have your background high school girl characters going, look at that boner canonically in your series, like
that was a line of dialogue. That is not exaggeration. Nope. A background character literally goes like, look at that bulge. Like that's okay. So yeah, and then the violence of the show, the action sequences are pretty good. Devilman like ripping demons limb from limb is pretty cool. I really enjoy like I said, Miko from before. Miki to a certain extent, I feel like she gets kind of like what do you call it? Kind of not Mary Sued, but she has like she's almost a little too perfect of a character.
Mm-hmm. She's definitely on a pedestal for sure.
Which actually makes other characters more interesting because of it, but her herself, not so much.
Well, I mean, her role is to just be like the surrogate, you know, love interest / like heart of the show. So I'm like, okay, I get it. And surprisingly enough, the street toughs are pretty fun. The
Dude,
rappers.
I love the wandering band of Japanese minstrels.
Okay. I did not think of them in that context, but that's pretty good.
Dude, like, I honestly, anytime they started rapping, in my head, I'm like, please be the Greek chorus of this show. Please, just everything that you say as rappy and, like, poetry as it is, be meaningful. And it pretty much kind of was. I might be stretching it a little bit, but it was great. Especially the free verse with the... Oh my god, I'm just gonna fanboy out here. I'm not sure. Can I fanboy a little bit real quick?
Go for it.
Like, when that one
the
rapper
guy with the
dude,
glasses, that's who you're talking about?
Miko, and he's like talking to her and like trying to like tell him like, hey, like, I just want to get to know you, but in his complete freestyle rap way, and like kind of like rapping to her and also directly to her, like that. It was such a great scene. I really liked them. And of course, in Devilman fashion, no one can be happy, which I knew going in, and I knew I should have not gotten attached. But god damn this series. I really did enjoy this series. I really like want to know why you guys are not as big as fan as me. I understand, but like, oh god, it's so great.
We'll get into it in a minute, but I still want to talk about stuff I liked from the series before I turn people off by kicking it in the dick. So but that episode you're
referencing... It's the gay butt sex, I know. Go on.
Man, if there were only gay butt sex in this show. If they
There is.
Like, they don't show it, though. Like,
dude, no, like, that dude is pumping hard. You see it.
It's like, you know what, I also have my problems with that later, but we'll talk about it in a little bit. The I don't have problems with gay sex, by the way. That's not what I meant. That's how it came out. No,
it's totally in jest. You're totally cool, man.
No, I love gay sex. No, wait, I did it. No, okay.
Okay, now something else
It was
is
a
coming
college
out.
thing.
You know what? You were gonna leave it there. My sexual identity has always been kind of a mystery on this show, so I think we should keep it at that. What was I talking about? Oh yeah, that's right, Miko. I love that episode. I think that might be my favorite episode of the series.
It's pretty good.
The Miko
side story episode.
Yeah, the side story of like learning about her, because I'm like, holy shit, you're like a 3-dimensional character all of a sudden. That's interesting. And yeah, I do like a lot of aspects about the show, and I can hear you all asking like, Nick, you're just talking about the stuff you like from the show. Like what happened? Like why don't you like this show overall? And I think my problem is that, well, I really like the first half of the show, the first 5 episodes, I think. I can't remember exactly the timeline. But right around episode 6, the show basically changes what it's about. And you know what? We'll spoil that segment, but nothing else. So,
and I just want to say that's why I made the gay butt joke sex. Is that exactly how episode 6 opens up?
Yeah. And when episode 6 starts, I guess that's where it is. Is that the previous episode is Rio trying to like videotape Devilman killing devils for the purpose of telling the
quote
world
unquote
that,
research,
telling the world that he wants to tell the world that demons exist so that they can prepare and be ready and fight the demons, because that like this knowledge will help them out. Which from like I think from episode 2 or whatever, me and Travis were both like, that sounds like a really bad idea.
No, I mean, that's actually one of my biggest problems of this show is that I think it was episode 1. I'm just like, oh, villain.
Rio's not a nice guy.
Well, he's not basically gets introduced with an assault rifle, shooting at kids on random.
In the opening, they have him facing off with Akira, and it's like, oh, well, the opening tells me that this is the bad guy of the show.
Yeah. And like during the Sabbath part, they're like, he's just like, oh yeah, all this debauchery, not enough. I'm gonna start stabbing people. I'm like,
yeah, and
okay,
then
villain.
And then Akira never brings it up after that. Like, you murdered people, and it's
okay.
like,
yeah, no, people, like I said, I've been super pumped for this, have brought up that scene, and like, why isn't he? Like, he was drugged, and he got possessed by a devil at the end. They do admit that you change physically and kind of your personality. At the core, you are still yourself. You are still human, but you do have a change of personality because you have this demon in you. That's why Akira, like, is more bold. He is more brash. He has a demon inside of him. He's no longer repressing his, like, human things or whatever. But go on, yes.
I will tell you what, that almost works for me, except for that the rest of the series, Rio and Akira have the same argument like 6 times, which is that's their relationship is, I think your methods are too harsh, and then Rio will come at him with, no, some people just need to die for this mission to work. That's how it needs to work. They have a similar conversation like that so many times, and I'm just like, Akira, do something proactive about it rather than just bitching. And Rio's plan never makes sense at all. Like, it until the end where they do a twist with his character, and then it really doesn't make sense.
What do you mean it doesn't make sense?
We'll get to it in the spoiler section.
We will get to it in the spoiler section.
But it's like, I actually had the relief, like, in the last episode of like, oh, they're going to explain why this character has been doing such dumb stuff this entire season. And then their explanation is so much dumber than what the actual thing. I was actually impressed. I was like, wow, that is impressively bad writing. Back to the first half. So one of the things that I liked about the first 5 episodes is that it treats the show like, okay, we're going to talk about serious concepts and stuff like that, and we'll have dark moments, but you're only supposed to take the show, but so seriously. Like, it feels a little more fun, there's a lot more humor, things are a lighter tone, the pace is a little bit slower to let these bigger moments breathe. At episode 6 to the finale, things move at a breakneck pace. Like, they start moving to a point where
snowballs quick.
we go from zero to apocalypse in like no time at all when it comes to the state of the universe. And it's like, how did we it feels like another show has started. You know what it feels like to me? It feels like another person made the first 5 episodes, and then a new person made the last 5 episodes, and that person hates the first 5 episodes. They think that like, oh man, that show sucks. I'm gonna make my own better version of that show. And it does not work for me.
To be fair, if the apocalypse did happen, would that not be your exact reaction of how do we get here so quick? Where was this transition? Like, just look at it.
No, like the actual apocalypse is happening right now.
We're
exactly
like 2 minutes to midnight, I think.
And it would be it would be the frog boiling in a pot. You wouldn't notice it until it was too late. Of like, oh, the world is over. But that's a whole another thing. Is that when the last 5 episodes, like the first 5 episodes are dealing with a lot of themes of like, identity, dealing with your inner evil,
doing things that, how much cost is worth it.
Jealousy, the whole Miko storyline is like being replaced and, and feeling inadequate. There's a lot of character stuff going on. And all of that takes a huge backseat in the last half of the season, where the main focus is look at how shitty humanity is. That is the main theme that they beat into you in the last 5 episodes so hard, and we leave a lot of other story stuff on the table in favor of that.
Oh no, we don't. We just kill it off straight up.
Well, it's
not on the table.
That was my subtle way of saying it.
This show is not subtle in the least.
Well, I liked the fact that it wasn't subtle in the first part of it, back when it was funny. And so I don't know. For me, it's like the show is trying to be like profound and actually they want you to take a lot of stuff in the last 5 episodes like so seriously, but it's still doing the weird and kind of just silly stuff that it was doing in the first 5 episodes. And the tone clash is just like, what do you want me to feel from scene to scene? They'll follow up a dark, fucked up like scene where you're supposed to be really sad, but they'll do something so fucking ridiculous sometimes during the scene that you're like, I'm actually not feeling this scene as much because you couldn't keep your tits in your shirt, sometimes literally, of just like, there's not enough fucking like weird tits in this shot. Like show that. I don't know. Maybe I'm just. It's also that I'm not really into the whole grim dark universe as well, of like angsty for angst's sake. And I feel like ultimately that's what this show ends up, is that the uber sadness doesn't serve an overall purpose up until the end, and then the purpose it does serve, I feel, is not very satisfactory. But Ed, obviously you have a different opinion.
Yes, obviously.
Do you want to share it, or just
okay? Hold on, I was just taking everything you said in, and I'm like trying to process things. I'm a little lost at the moment. A lot of
let me go
feelings.
over something then.
Why don't we let Travis go?
So the thing is that I actually do not mind nihilistic storylines.
Mm-hmm.
I really don't. In fact, a manga I would really compare this to that I really did enjoy was Parasite. Yeah, it is basically a story where parasites come down on Earth, they drill into people's bodies, take over their brains, and start having to feed on other humans to live.
Mm-hmm.
And the main character is very similar, where he actually ends up not fully being processed with these parasites, and he has to coexist with one instead.
Oh, okay.
So it is actually...
That sounds very similar, actually.
It's super similar. And it has a very more nihilistic theme thematically to it, but it's not as silly, and it is more character driven throughout. And I think that's my biggest problem with this show, is that the first half is a character piece. It's about different characters, and I love that. I love character pieces. And the second half is full on nihilism, nothing else. And I'm like, okay, I can dig that too, but I don't dig them
together.
Well, it's not even that they're together. They're literally separate.
Yeah, I suppose it is so... I think that's really my problem, is I'm so jarred by that episode of like, what episode... Like, and it's weird because these episodes are not very long. It'd be like, 25 minutes ago, this was a completely different show. Mm-hmm. Like, it's weird that way.
Yeah, and that is my problem. It's not the fact that they are together, it's that they're not together.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Okay, I see what you're saying.
Okay.
You ready?
I think I'm... Yeah.
Rebuttal, Ed.
All right. So pretty much at this point, to anyone listening, it's not so much a spoiler to say that Armageddon happens, the end of days happen, and that complete jar. The first half to me was it's these people living the life. Rio came out of nowhere, and things are starting to get weird. But it's still life. Everyone is going about their days. And then that jarring point, that episode 6, that is when all hell breaks loose in the most literal of senses. And it does go to shit really quickly, because that is the point they're trying to say of how humanity is at its core, like, kind of shit, like you guys said.
No, this show is basically saying humanity at its core is evil. Like, humanity is just one bad event away from going crazy up, straight up rape and murder town on everybody.
Yes, but there are glimmers of hope. Humanity is not, in essence, just screwed or flawed. That is where Miki comes in. She, in my eyes, when I see this, and I am super fanboying over it, is the ideal, like, if Akira is the best in humanity because of his empathy. What is keeping him human? Because no human is perfect. Every human is flawed. That is that is being a human. So Akira, even though he's the best, he's still human. He's still flawed. He has all this empathy. His purpose of living, his thing of keeping him going, is Miki. And of course, she's this like idol that can't be anything but perfect, and people don't, even in the series, don't like her when she at the end goes on her fucking Instagram and starts like telling the world like what's with all this hatred, like like we are all still people, like devil men are still people, and people are like, look at her, why is she preaching? Like get the fuck off your soapbox. It's whatever, but that's how she feels. She is not putting on an act. She does just want to spread love, and like believes love is the ultimate weapon. There's an earlier scene where her parents, especially her father, who's very religious, because of course all this has religious overtones in it.
Really? I couldn't tell from the 40-foot fucking
Last
Supper painting in the back.
Exactly.
It was so distracting every
Exactly.
single time.
So there is like an overlaying, like the source material is the Bible, technically, kind of. But yeah, there's a scene where he's reading the scripture to his son, and the son is like, so we aren't supposed to fight, and she goes in saying, yes, love will conquer all. That is who she is. That is her shining bubble. And I forget where I was going with this, because I just got lost in my passion. Oh my god.
I'm not sure, but you know what? I do agree with you on a certain point, is that Miki and Akira's friends are the ray of, like, they're the only good people we ever see. And for me, I'm like, yeah, but that's not enough. Like, because for me, that's a common trope for a lot of young writers too, of that the world is shit except for me and my friend group. Everyone else sucks and are evil, but me and my friend group are the special snowflakes. And if we're not around, then the world would be completely worthless.
No. There's shown of some hope in the youth, in the future.
There's one scene at the very end that I'm like,
very
yes.
jarred. It is very
it's actually my
there.
favorite. It's my favorite moments of that last 5 episodes. Is the faith in humanity scene that is basically forgotten after it happens. Like,
because all hell is breaking loose. It's Armageddon, dude. Armageddon can only end one way: the death of everything.
Well, the movie Armageddon totally ends totally differently.
Well, it wasn't a real Armageddon, now was it?
Well, it was called Armageddon, Ed. I don't know what you talk. Are you questioning the great cinematography skills of Michael Bay? I mean, come on, what are we doing here? But I feel like when you're trying to do something as serious as the concept of humanity and good and evil and stuff like that, the writing has to be a little bit better than the writing. It's not like it didn't have problems in the first part of it, but because it was sillier and didn't really need to it was all about making emotional sense rather than logical sense. I'm like, yeah, I can go with it. They keep undercutting their point with just ridiculous. Like, even in that episode I really like with Miko, where she's remembering her sexual assault and then she's masturbating, like, in that sequence, is like, okay, so this girl is really dealing with a
traumatizing issue.
A traumatizing issue that is, you know, they're really letting her, and they're letting the scene breathe without any dialogue, which I'm like, wow, this is very interesting. I love this shot. It's very beautiful but dark in this fucked up way. And then the character, while she's masturbating, makes a donkey noise for no reason. And I laughed completely out loud. It was hilarious. And then I'm like, and then afterwards when I'm watching them, I'm like, oh, it really undercut the importance of that scene.
Can I interject with how I took from that scene?
Go for it.
Okay, so yes, it is a legitimate donkey noise, but from how I took it, she was masturbating, like you said, and that is like her pretty much orgasm sound. And it's a later point on that the guy, like, said he heard it echoed, but like he didn't hear it as an orgasm sound. He sounded as it was a weird like sound. He thought someone was like hurting an animal or something. So to have her like moan of ecstasy be a like moan of ecstasy, like it could imply that like he heard it and like he's like knew kinda, and it would change that tone completely. To make it so jarring, to make it like it is a bizarre sound, kind of like added to the purity of their relationship that later, because he didn't hear some girl orgasming, he just heard a weird sound, which embarrassed her, and that scene happened.
I don't think you need the donkey noise to sell that scene.
I mean, would you really find it unbelievable for a boy to be like, I didn't know what that sound was when a girl orgasms? Really?
Yeah. I mean,
but how could you express that if you use a sound that everyone knows? So unless you're thinking in that way,
don't use a sound. Just have them say, I hear weird noises, and then have the audience put it together, because, you know, we're smart. We don't need to be handheld through every scenario.
That's totally fine, but in a series where like they use the extremes to emphasize a point, I was completely fine with it.
But it takes me out of the scene of like this very poignant scene of like tragic character, and then suddenly I'm out of it, and I very much realize I'm watching an anime. They sacrifice immersion to make a point, and it's distracting, and it
makes you think. And this show kind of
it made me laugh.
It also made me laugh, but I also thought while I laughed of why I was laughing.
For me, it's a metaphor for the show, for the writer of the show, of like, man, you could really be doing some good stuff if you just stop being a jackass for a minute. Let's walk it back a little bit though. We talked about the reveal of demons to the world and how the people find out. Rio develops this formula that turns demons into their real form, and
or at the very least reveals Devilman too.
Reveals Devilman at least, like, but we figured it would work with with devils that are pretending to be human as well, bringing out your demonic form. And that's how he reveals what's his name, the athlete, the runner. I forget his name. What's Kubu? Is that his name? But yeah, he released it.
I do not know.
It shows him, and then that episode happens, and then Akira, for whatever reason, lets a bunch of people die in that stadium, even though he's supposed to be one of our most empathetic characters. It's like, no, he's sad, and it's like, yeah, I bet you a lot of these other people are sad too. You didn't have to let this whole stadium of people die.
And his name is Koda.
Koda?
Okay. Yeah.
And that's another problem with Akira that I had throughout some of the series, is like, be a little more proactive, guy. Like, actually make a decision and follow through on it. But the next episode is like, it has the exact line of dialogue where Rio is like, well, you know, the humans are actually killing each other, and because of the paranoia from demons, I guess. I mean, it sucks. I mean, it's too bad. There's no way unfortunately, there's no way you can tell if a human's a demon or not. And I'm like, except for the way you introduced 20 minutes ago. Like, the last episode, you developed a way, showed me it in a very specific way, and executed on it there is a way, and not only you know it, Akira knows it, and no one brings it up, and the show just expects us to forget about it because, well, we have to get to the next scene. And it's a blatant plot hole that I'm just like, what's going on here, guys? Like, are we just not going to bring this up or hand wave this explanation like, oh, I only had so much of the formula, or it doesn't work all the time, it has a failure rate,
or it needed the heart of a demon to make it, or something.
I don't know, something, but they literally have the dialogue, there's no way to tell, and I'm like, you developed a way to tell. Like, that was a key plot point one episode ago. And for me, there's a lot of moments like that where the writing is just either just blatantly ignoring some of the past mythology that it's built up, and I don't know, I did not appreciate it at the very end where it's trying to pull off some of these really big emotional moments, and it's a lot of the time I'm just thinking of like, why, man, we really need to bend ourselves over backwards plot wise to even get here, and it feels very forced. But I don't know, like there was like a bunch of moments like that too. Like, they keep mentioning in the show, obviously there's some other government organizations that must know about Devilman, like, clearly, but we never see them. They never pay off on that. They never show up or do anything about it. No one ever suggests like, hey, maybe we should work with them, or I don't know. Like, and then it's not even the fact that they couldn't tell a good story if they didn't do like, hey, show the organization. Maybe they're even worse than some of the demons. Like, maybe they don't distinguish Devilmen from demons. Hey, maybe they have the formula that transports that, you know,
reveals demons.
Reveals people, but they also reveal Devilmen, and then Akira realizes like, oh shit, I've doomed innocent people because of this formula. Oh no. Like, it's, I don't know, for me, I'm just like, this is lazy. Like, it's lazy writing, and I don't know, Ed, how'd you feel about it? Like, just, did you not notice, or am I noticing too much? Am I putting too much emphasis on it? What's going on?
Okay, I guess with me, cause I do know what you're talking about. I do know those things that you said. No, that's the thing. It's like foreknowledge and all that stuff, because at this point, us three, I don't want to spoil everything, know that Rio, yeah, like we said earlier, he's the bad guy. So at the end of the day, Rio wants all this to happen. And yes,
doesn't explain why Akira doesn't use the formula or bring it up in any way.
Because Akira's a dumbass. That's always been established. Akira's always
that makes the character better.
Yeah, no, Akira's a dumbass. This is how I accept it. This is why I am okay with it. Like, you can completely disagree with me. I can be completely wrong, but this is why I'm okay with it. Akira is just feeding him bullshit because he knows his friend is a dumbass. And his friend has,
I think you mean
all
Rio.
this...
Rio is feeding Akira bullshit, right?
Yes, my bad.
Okay.
Rio's feeding Akira bullshit, just trying to, like, manipulate him. The whole relationship between them is Rio has this attachment to Akira because Akira is the best humanity has. He has impressed the big Rio, and of course he's gonna take care of his pet. And he just wants him to shut up and sit pretty in the corner and just be there with him. So he's not, and he knows what he's trying to do. He's trying to get the world to know about demons for whatever reason. And so he just wants to fall in line and not do anything. There is a scene in the series, I forget what episode, where Rio is telling Akira not to do a certain thing, not to go after these other demons, just to shut up and lay low until his plan comes to play. And Akira's like, no, I am done listening to you. I do not agree. I do not understand. I need to go do this. And Rio's like, man, I did not account for that. I didn't think he would do that. So his, like, misinformation, his everything, it's kind of like that dysfunctional relationship where it is telling the other person to shut up, and this is why. I don't think about it. Just accept what I have to say.
Well, see, that's my problem with their whole relationship is that they act like people that don't know each other at all. And they're supposed to be these really good friends from way back when. And it's like every conversation they have is like they've met each other for the first time. It's like, I didn't expect Akira to do the thing that would help out other people and be empathetic with others. I'm like, really? That's like his whole deal. Like, that's his whole thing. Like, and then Rio is never anything but cruel and fucking random. So
that's how interaction is to his character.
Yeah, and Akira seems to always be surprised by it, and I don't know why. It's not like Rio ever acts any different. Like, it's strange to me how often they can converse and yet how little their relationship progresses. Like,
I accept because they are ideals, they are representations. Akira is the ideal empath. He believes in Rio since they were kids. They had these moments. They show you, like, they bonded in the hot springs. They played in the snow together. They went to school together as little kids. And of course, as a kid, he's like, this is my best friend. He can't do no wrong. He has to be a good guy. He's so smart. He went off on his own and got adopted and is a professor. Like, he is just a great guy. Cause that's how he is. He sees the best in everyone. He cries for everyone. Like, where
my best friend from who in childhood who decided to kill a sick cat with an X-Acto knife. Man, that old ridiculous Rio, what a scamp.
Yeah, I mean, the cat was in pretty bad shape. It was gonna die. Akira knows, like, that's kind of fucked up, man, but facts are facts, I guess. I don't know. I'm gonna defend this no matter what, but go on what you're gonna say. Go on.
No, I understand what you're trying to say is that, and this is what the show is about, is like idealism. So that's why Miki's like this unbelievably, perfect idealist of a character.
Idol.
Yeah, there you go. I mean, she's literally like, she has how many people listening to her blog in the apocalypse? Mm-hmm. Is there no power during that sequence too? How the fuck do they have internet? Like,
it's Japan. I'm pretty sure they have that on like triple back safety, like auto running systems in case
they probably like got rid of life support machines to power the internet. It's more important.
How popular is a fucking track star in high school? Like in the one particular
Japan
high school.
loves their high school girls.
It's true, actually.
Okay.
And like that weird creepy guy did take like one like bathing suit picture of her, and in Japan, if you're a cute high school girl in a bathing suit on the internet.
Let's go back to things I like. Let's talk about the villains from the first part. I actually like the two villains that show up to be the antagonists for the first 5 episodes. I forget their names, but it's the one dude who's the subordinate, and the girl who wants to fuck
Celine,
Akira.
And I forget the bored dude's name.
Mm-hmm. I mean, there's not a whole lot to their characters, but she seriously wants to fuck Akira. Like, that's her main goal and nothing else. And I'm like, that's different.
Well,
okay.
She wants to fuck the demon that possessed Akira.
Oh, also, like, they make a big deal of like, aha, Amon is here. And then you figure like, oh, there must be a big backstory for Amon and like this, demon king or something. Never brought up. Like, it's almost never referenced outside of Celine as a character. And even she's just like, you used to be such a great lover and please fuck me. And I don't know, it feels like there's like, wasn't there a big mythos we were supposed to reveal because they mention him by name a lot. Mm-hmm. So it feels like it should be more important than it is.
I mean, all the anime tells you is the greatest demon ever was Amon by reputation and Rio's word alone. And so everyone else just like, oh, it's Amon, he's so great. It's just through reputation to us as the viewer.
Yeah, I just find it odd that they never like reveal like what Amon was like, or maybe why him and Akira or Akira is able to subdue him. Maybe they had something in common, or there was some reason or something. Like, I don't know. It felt weird that they would keep mentioning it, but never really go into it a whole lot.
That just boils down to Rio knows Amon is the strongest demon. He wanted Akira to stick around through the apocalypse, so he chose the strongest demon, like the best possible candidate.
Well, I didn't even think that you could control what demon possessed you.
Well,
like,
when you're Rio, you can kind of do whatever you want.
But even, yeah, okay, well, maybe retroactively, I guess, but also I actually like the, what's it? God damn it, he's the underwear model / reporter / rapist guy. Like, he's actually the most three-dimensional villain on the show. Like, I understand what his motivations are, what his goals are, and why he's like the worst person in the world. And that's another problem I have with episodes 5 to 10 is that the villains they introduce, wow, are they underdeveloped. I barely even know their names. I had to look them up before. One's like Xenon or something.
Yep. Yeah. One who just basically shows up, kind of has some sort of plot, and then dies.
Yeah, well, he's the only one to ever beat Devilman in a fight. I'm like, oh, who's this guy? And then the next time he shows up, he dies. And I'm like, oh, that guy was no one. Weird.
Yeah.
No, he basically would be a nameless demon.
Yeah,
they make sure to give him a name and make sure he's very distinct.
Well, he played a bigger
subplot that happens off screen for whatever reason.
That's something a lot of fans are a little upset about as well, is that the demons who get way fleshed out more in previous adaptations and original source material are kind of just thrown in there at the end. Super rushed. Like, Xenon actually was a lot more fleshed out as a character, and I think he had a little arc in some form, but you don't get any of that in here.
He feels like he should have. Like, when he shows up, he feels like he's going to be important, and then nothing.
Well, yeah, but like...
I also have the same problem with Psycho Jenny, which is the
Psycho Jenny's awesome.
The pipe, she doesn't
do I know.
anything.
Yeah, I know. She's just
she
there.
Does
that is
nothing.
Her purpose is to be there in the background.
What? Like, why is she even there? And then I actually did some research on the previous stuff. I even watched a little bit of the OVA, the 80s OVA.
Okay.
Yeah. This one actually is better than that, because at least this isn't boring.
Oh.
That 80s OVA sucks so hard. But I really have a problem with that. And then Rio's ultimate character turn is problematic at best. I don't know, guys. I was really excited. I was like, you know what? I'm totally fucking down with this. And then somewhere around the halfway point, the show just takes a turn that I can't go with. And it just, I don't know. It really takes it's not like it just is not as good as it was before. It takes like a fucking nosedive for how much I'm not enjoying it. I don't know, Travis, did you feel it as hard as I was, or not?
Probably not as hard as you did, and I'm sure my point of view is slightly skewed to how badly you reacted to it, because I watched it with you.
Yeah.
But I still felt like, again, I don't mind nihilistic storylines, but they kind of have to say something at the very least. And I feel like this one, we had to get into a spoiler section for this kind of thing. I do feel like it just, it says something, but not in a way that made... Not in a way that made me believe it. I was like, no, you're forcing this storyline.
Man, I really agree with you wholeheartedly on that, and I want to talk about it, but we'll get into that in the spoiler section.
If you want to give me a storyline saying humans are garbage and shit, I'd be like, yeah, okay, bring it.
That's a believable storyline. Yeah, let's go with it.
And I feel like this show really didn't. In fact, they basically said like, no, the narrative here is the one that's basically forcing it on me. I'm like, no. It's not that hard to make me believe humans are terrible. Trust me. And you're actually doing the opposite. You're like, no, actually, I'm beginning to feel the opposite here.
Yeah, okay, so, you know what? Why don't we head into that spoiler section? But first, let's give our overall ratings and final thoughts on it. I will go first. Obviously, I did not care much for how this show ended, but I will give it points on the beginning part of it. Even though, as I went back, I actually watched some of the previous episodes. I'm like, man, I don't even like these first episodes even much anymore because of the context of what happens at the end. Because, I mean, the show even forgets like how demons are. Like, demons need like a fucking,
I think we have to save that for the spoiler section.
Well, I won't spoil too much, but like demons need a hedonistic environment to possess people. Like, they need blood and sex and
rock and roll.
Yeah, and the personification of evil, which in this show is consensual sex and recreational drug use in this party. And when at first I was like, okay, that's funny. But then in the later part of it, when you're supposed to take it seriously, like that's a messed up message. Those people weren't doing anything evil. They were just having
Partying.
fun. Like they weren't hurting anybody. It was Rio the one that was hurting people. And then the shows later is like, oh, this kid is a devil man. Wait, when was a kid in a fucking rave in a sex party? Oh wait, a cat's a devil man. Wait, what? Okay, whatever.
Well, Nick, cats are evil.
Cats are evil. You know what? You convinced me. That
was easy.
I was completely. All cats are devil cats.
I mean, cats are the guardians of hell, so I mean...
So, for me, I think, especially near the end part of it here, where they're trying to make me feel it's all about the emotion, they make things so sad that it's funny. And what I mean by that is that, you know that scene from Robin Hood Men in Tights where Robin comes home and Blinken is talking to him about his family and is like, oh, your father's dead. He died in the Crusades. Like, oh no, what happened to my mother? Like, oh, she died of the plague. Like in my brothers, like every one of his family members has died with something, and it gets all the way down to my dog Pongo got run over by a carriage. My goldfish Goldie eaten by the cat. My cat choked on the goldfish.
Oh, isn't it good to be home, Master Robin?
And that scene is funny because it's so
over the top.
It's so over the top sad that you can't take it seriously and that it's funny. And there's a lot of points in this ending sequence here where things are so contrivedly sad that I like Travis can attest to this. I laughed out loud at some of those points, especially in episode 9, which is supposed to be this big tearjerker of a episode. And I'm like, this is silly. So yeah, it did not strike the right chord for me. So unfortunately, I'm going to have to give this one a 2 out of 5. It seriously, it would have been like probably a 4 out of 5 for me if it had kept up with the pace of the first 5 episodes. But I can't stress enough that it really takes a turn that I do not agree with in the last half here. You know what? We'll end with Ed as the positive up note. So Travis, why don't you go next?
Okay. Like I don't feel as bad for it as Nick did, but I think I'm actually gonna probably rate it worse because of that almost.
Wow, really?
Yeah, because
That's surprising.
Well, when I was watching this, I was like, okay, I can see where this is going, and I like this. And then the fact that it took such a complete turn, that I was like, no, this is a different storyline that on its own I might have enjoyed, but because you're like cramming these two together, I'm like, no, just no. Yeah, I'm based just off my rating, because again, I do have a written down rating. Yeah. I just go off of points of, it's going to be a 3 out of 10.
Damn, that's surprising to me. I thought I hated this way more than you.
Well, no, because based off my rating, 3 is insulting in some way.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, a 4 out of 10 would have been like, had an idea but didn't commit, but this one
had 2 ideas and didn't commit to either one.
Exactly. So it ends up being insulting instead of not committing.
Okay.
And I'm just like, yeah, I actually cannot actually rate it higher than a 3 out of 10, because if I would have liked it less, I probably would have rated it more. I know it sounds weird, but that's actually how it ends up being, because I'm kind of insulted by the fact that it kind of ruined it for me.
Well, this show has made Travis insane. It has broken him.
No, I've been like this before.
God, I wish this show was worse so I could like it more.
No, not like it more, rate it higher.
Rate it higher.
It's a very careful distinction. Bite me.
Ed, what do you think overall, my friend? And let's get your rating on it.
I'd give it a 4 out of 5 or an 8.5 out of 10.
Is that, you wanted to extrapolate on why more, or just as that?
Yeah, no, pretty much, what I like.
For reasons we said it was bad.
No, I mean, pretty much once. Okay, are we gonna go into spoiler section like right now? Cause
we go after this. So we give our recommendations. I know it's super hard with this one.
Can I just tell you why I like it after the spoiler?
After the musical break, we'll give you your chance to do it after the spoiler. How's that? Do you want to go into the musical break right now?
Kind of, because I just want to let it all out.
We'll let you have your piece after the musical break. All right. So we're gonna do that. But before we go into that, thank you guys so much for listening. If you want to watch Devilman before listening to the spoiler review, I don't recommend it, but Ed would. I completely understand that. Thank you so much for listening. Check out some of our previous content on Netflix and Kill, some of our previous stuff. Check out some of our previous episodes where we interview, and have special guests on, just like Ed.
And maybe, watch when we actually all like the show or something.
Yep. Ed, listen to our previous shows on like Attack on Titan or My Hero Academia, where Ed was on and we had a grand old time. Ed's a fantastically great guy, and he's really funny, and I don't know, sounds handsome to me. Never met the guy in real life, but I don't know, sounds pretty good looking to me. I feel bad now, so I want to heap some praise onto Ed.
I'll take the cheap praise. I'll take the cheap praise.
You take it. So Ed, where can the people find you?
Yeah, I am Otabro Ed at the Otabros podcast. We record on Twitch now on Tuesdays at 8:30 Eastern Standard Time. Please do stay around and listen to why I enjoy Devilman so much, even if you might not like it because you kind of like the same stuff, you kind of agree with these two guys' opinions. I'm pretty sure my reasoning and my explanation, my fanboying of why I enjoy it will be entertaining to your ears. And if you like that, come check us out. Yeah.
Okay. With that, we're going to take a small musical break, and we'll be back with the spoiler section right after this.
金もない学もない先行きすら真っ暗いこの街に生まれ落ちた時点で未来なんてない光はあるのかそりゃどこかにはあるかもでも未だ迷子迷路どの道を行けど曲がり角割れた窓中赤子の声が響くこのゲトマジヘドが出るぜ俺ら飛び出すその先へとだけど未だ抜け出すことできないまるで卵の殻に閉じ込められてるよな真っ暗闇
Alright, welcome back to the spoiler section of Devilman Crybaby. Speaking of crybabies, we hurt Ed's feelings before, and we didn't let him get a chance to explain his rating. So before he,
No, it's okay. Let's do all the spoilers. I'd rather just do at the very end. Once all the cards are on the table and everything is out in the open, I will tell you why, as a whole and everything, I fucking loved Devilman Crybaby.
You want to save it even more for the end? You don't want to do it right? Like we already saved it for after the music review. But if you want to save it for the end, that's fine. That's your prerogative.
I mean, like I'm gonna gush. Like I'm gonna like try and keep it as brief as I can. But I'm gonna fucking gush, okay. And I'm just gonna go on a tangent, and I'm just gonna go.
And you just want to give us a chance before you go off. Okay, that's courteous of you. That's
But it sounds like we're just going to end the episode whenever he takes a breath, so.
Well, he doesn't know that I'm going to edit out all of his good points later to make him look really dumb.
No, it's totally cool. I'm waiting for that electronic giant cane to yank me off the stage.
Just like the Sandman. The Apollo.
And it's going to cut out.
Okay, so let's get into the spoilers here. So we mentioned before the main spoiler halfway through is, the show becomes kind of like an apocalypse type thing where humans don't trust each other because of the Devilman reveal. We get introduced to, or not introduced, but like we get reintroduced to, what was it? Koda?
Koda.
Yes,
Koda.
Koda. And Koda, started off as an interesting character where first off, he's a rare homosexual representation, so that's cool.
You can thank Netflix for that, because if this aired in Japan first, like they would not allow that.
No, straight up not.
So I'm like, so at first I'm like, oh, neat, that's interesting. I don't usually see that in animes. That's neat. Doesn't turn out the best, and I know I know it wasn't intentional, but he turns out to be. At first, he started off as like he was trying to control the Devilman inside him, but he was failing, and he's very sympathetic. And then he becomes
a bitch.
And then he becomes evil for no reason. And I'm
Coda's a bitch.
I'm like, really? The only explicitly gay character on the show becomes evil for no reason at the end. And then in the final battle, you think like, oh, here he comes. He'll finally explain his motivations, or maybe quick turn on the bad guy and reveal that he was double agent the whole time, or some sort of redemption. Nope, just gets killed. And I'm like,
well, I mean,
what a fucking waste. What a waste of a good character.
They say why he face turned. Like, he wants to be on the winning side. He knows in the grand scheme of things, all hell is going loose. Humans already show their prejudice against Devilman. But
it goes against this character from before, where he was sympathetic and he cared about, like, he couldn't control the demon inside him.
Self-preservation in the apocalypse, I mean, how can you look down on the dude if like
Because it doesn't go with what he set up as his character beforehand.
it doesn't what?
It doesn't explain.
He's mourning his dead lover, and he that's it.
But he
feel bad
switches
for him.
from feeling bad about it to, oh man, being evil is awesome, isn't it? He's smiling as he's going in, murdering innocent, I guess Devilman at that point. There's no fucking humans left. I don't know. I did not agree with that character turn, especially for one of the few.
He's with the side that accepted him. Like
they didn't accept him either.
No. Psycho Jenny did when he was like, "I'll do it," and they're like, "Yeah, that's something a human would do, whatever." But like, they're like, "I'm gonna side with you." Like, they're not gonna, no matter what, humans will not accept me.
I didn't like
will be on your side.
I was not crazy about it.
That's fine. He's a total dick, but like, I understand why he did it. I don't agree with it, but I understand.
I don't understand, and I feel like it was a hastily written plot arc that just ended up having like a story. Like I thought it was going to be really reflective of him and Akira, like trying to control their inner demons and stuff. And it really didn't come off like that way at all. Like it should have felt more like Kota failed to control his inner demon, but it really felt like he just, like the writer just decided to make him evil all of a sudden.
Dude, he's still a human, and humans can be shit.
Oh, and let's talk about that for a minute.
Let's do it.
The humans in this show are so cartoonishly evil that it's really hard to take anything they're trying to say seriously. Like, look at how bad humans are. And I'm like, well, I'm not sure how bad humans are, because what you're portraying here are cartoon characters that are evil for the sake of being evil.
Yeah, and this is the biggest problem I have with the second part, is that they're like, look at humans, they were always evil. All it took was this. I'm like, no, you basically, it doesn't really make sense to me, because they're like, oh look, there's demons now. Let's kill all the humans. Wait, what? No, you'd kill the obvious demons. Nope, because we don't know who's a demon, so we're gonna kill all the humans. No, because if they were demons, they'd just kill you. That's how it would work. No, because they're irrational.
The show does believe that humans are quick to turn on mass hysteria.
Yeah, except humans are super into survival. Like, it is a big thing for us.
We will knit together in groups, and it even shows inner groups turning on each other. And
that is my biggest problem with the show.
That doesn't make any sense.
It's like, oh, you mean this tight-knit group that would, in an apocalypse situation, band together and kill other people to make sure the other survives, just turn on each other on a whim. I'm like, nope, That's where I was out. I'm like, no.
Let's talk about, that happens in episode 9, I believe is what you're talking about, right?
Yeah, probably.
Episode 9 is where everybody dies. All the sub-characters, Miko, Miki, the street toughs whose names I don't remember. I think the Miki's parents died in the previous episode, which actually was a scene I actually kind of liked.
Yeah, no, I actually like that one too.
Because it was dark and fucked up. And like,
little brother was turning, eating his mom, and dad couldn't pull the trigger.
It was just the right amount of weird to make it unsettling, but not over the top. And I'm like, man, this is an effective scene watching this dad struggle with this decision. And I really wished that the next episode let that breathe a little bit more, because it feels like Miki deals with that revelation and then is completely fine 5 minutes later.
And well, she has to be, dude. There was literal apocalypse happening outside.
Sure, but I'm like, yeah, but could we deal with the fallout of that? It felt like that moment was a little more important. But I digress. The episode where she somehow has internet and sends a message, talking about Akira and how he cries for others and never for himself, matched with Akira defending random people from a mob. Awesome. Like that scene. Like that dichotomy. Very well choreographed, very well shot. Even in that scene, which is probably my favorite from the last half, has some problems in it. One being the mob is ridiculous. The mob goes from stereotypical mob, which fine, okay, we need a stereotypical mob, to the demon is crying in front of them, and they become Stephen King bullies out of nowhere. Like, haha, look at that pussy crying. Cry, you gonna cry, baby. Like, that is not a human reaction. No human would say that. They would, sure, some of them would find it weird. Like, oh, wow, that human's crying, that's weird. They wouldn't revert back to grade school bullies. And then the crowd turns on a dime again. But even that scene, I'm like, okay, the innocence of children, like that works. That more or less works. I mean, I wish Rio would have done something like that to begin with, because it's like, oh no, humans are being hurt by this mob, and I'm like, you mean what's been happening for the last 3 episodes in which you've done nothing about that? So obviously, I wanted him to do a moment like that earlier, because it felt like that's in his character to do something like that, and it took him a really long time to do that sort of thing, especially during the stadium sequence where he just lets all those people die for little to like. Well, the devil, like, yeah, but there's many
other people.
There's so many other people that are just as innocent, and what about the mom of the kid that had his headphones in that got stomped on by the bull demon, which is just like, hey, my kid had thoughts and feelings and regrets too. So yeah, apparently the surrounding neighborhood, I guess, did not like Miki's message. They come to do an assault on Precinct 13 on the house, and
which is actually a pretty good scene.
Oh, great, tense, loved it. Very much like Night of the Living Dead. Great animation with the street toughs and their fighting. There's some good shit to be had. Again, it's not like the show is straight up awful during the sequence. It's like the animation is always pretty much stellar. Well, always, like if it's a blood orgy or a fight scene, it's really good. Some of the other scenes are a little more static, but that's just where the money goes. The start off the sequence by murdering the house cat. And I it's done in slow motion in such an overdramatic way that I laugh out loud. And
yeah, my literal words at those time was "rip cat."
Rip cat. And yeah, so I'm like, okay, well that was silly, but you know, this rest of the stuff is pretty good. And then it really starts to go downhill where the one street tough with dreadlocks fighting outside. And he sees his friend who was driving the car, which I thought like that guy was dead because he shows up with the mob. And I'm like, oh, well, they mobbed his ass and murdered him. And then he has this crazy look on his face, and he stabs his friend with this crazy look of glee on his face. And to be frank, he was on their side all but 5 minutes ago. He was going to get the car. They were going to go and get away. There was nothing to lead you to suspect that he was betraying them in any way. It's just like he reverted to, like, I'm like, oh wait, did he get possessed by a demon when we weren't looking? Did all these people get possessed by demons when we weren't looking? Because that's the only thing that makes sense right now.
See, where I got from that, what I got from that was when he turned or whatever, he was part of the group, he was always with them, but he never spoke. He was just like going with the crowd, and there was the distinct leader of that group who said, all right, we're going to go with her. Okay, we're going to protect her. He made the group decisions. And at this time, again, how I rationalized it.
What you put on it.
Yes, the world is going to shit. All this is happening. Your leader is saying, we're going to fight to the death to protect this girl. And you're like, I don't want to die for this girl. I don't care about her.
You know what would really help that? Is that they had a line of dialogue about that.
But see...
Would have been 3 seconds. Wouldn't have been wasted much. See, that's what I mean.
That's where, like, I got the show rather than the tell. Like I said, when I saw that,
there is no show for him questioning his leader. He doesn't question his leader in any way, a show or tell.
Dude, that's exactly the first thing that came to my mind. It's not like I looked something up. It's not like I did anything. I saw this scene happen.
You were liking the show and wanted to bring up, like, look. And I understand where you're putting you're coming from, but that's something you're putting on the show. That's not something the show is bringing to the audience. The audience has to fill in that gap for itself. And
I mean, my other thing to that was the other friend that turned. He saw his buddy's glasses, his buddy he's missing, the guy, the super cool rapper dude, and
no,
that's
his
why
turn makes sense. And his turn they show, which makes the other guy's turn really weird because they don't telegraph it at all. Like, they telegraph some stuff and then not others. That's my main problem, is that it seems like the show is smart enough to do certain aspects of storytelling, but not, like, they're so involved in the angst of the story. Like, oh, well, why does his friend turn on him? Because that's sadder. That's the sad way it would go.
Because everyone needs to die at this point.
Yeah. And so, like, and even that's just a character that, well, we don't know, like what was it, the main guy with the white hat, he he shows up later after Miki and Miko escape, on Miko's spider demon form. He shows up, later dead as, the mob catches up with them some crazy how. Like, I don't know how this same mob got to them, but he shows up, like, she thinks that it's him in the car, and he falls out dead with a axe pick in his chest or something.
Something like that.
I laughed again because I immediately thought to myself, okay, wait. So these guys who are intent on murdering everyone in this house and killing the demon and witches or whatever, killed this guy, put him into the car, strapped him in, held him up so that he would look like he was still alive, drove him all the way to where they must have magically known where Miki and Miko were, because I seriously have no idea how this same, I thought it was a different mob at first. And I'm like, oh, that makes sense. Another mob caught up with them and saw the demon. No, it's the same fucking mob. And I'm like, what? And I'm like, so the level of preparation that would need to go into being that evil to show another person like, haha, look at your friend, look what we did. I'm like, that is ridiculous. That's like Dick Dastardly level of like, do you want to, sure you want to stab Miki? You sure want to like tie her to some train tracks? It's ridiculous.
I mean, I assumed he went for the car. I assumed he got killed while trying to start the car, just got shoved over. And then when they just went out,
and they just left the body in there.
Yeah, because they were chasing the demon, dude.
Again,
they
that's
just
something
killed
that the show does not bring to you.
I know, but again, I honestly understand that a lot of this might have been me just like filling it in myself because of things I know and I understand, like the whole friend face turning. I can understand that someone in a group is just going along with the group while not like really following what they want to do. They're just the follower.
The problem is that they literally do not show or tell that. Like if they,
I get that.
If they had shown anything like that, I would totally agree with you. But the show expects you to bring that to it all by yourself. And
see, the thing is, I can actually see both your sides on this. My biggest problem with a lot of these scenes is that so much shit is happening in this second half. I would keep going like, did I miss a scene? Or am I supposed to inference this? And I don't know half the time whether or not it's me or the show.
Also, Miko goes down, and I don't understand, like, because they run to the same place that they ran to before that's in the previous show. And again, if you start off the scene like, okay, I want to kill Miki and Miko. Where should we kill them? Oh, we should kill them where they run and have that, where they feel at their purest and where the purest sense of joy they have. And then we'll violate that, creating a even more poignant scene. Got it. Totally get that from a writing perspective. And then my next question would be, how do we get there? And then this writer's response would be, who cares? Because the Miko runs for there, even though we've seen her and other demons get away from other humans easily by running on rooftops. But she decides to run into an open field. And then at first I thought like, well, she's way faster than them anyway, so that doesn't matter. Except that she's not, even though we've seen how fucking fast these demons are. Mm-hmm. And these humans get like a fucking pickup truck with a machine gun on it, and I'm like, oh, okay, I guess this is another, again, I said this was another random band of humans that obviously saw them, and it's like, nope, same guys, because the kid with the little kid with the dreadlocks who found the glasses shows up in that car. I'm like, really? These are the same fucking guys? And yeah, he finally pulls out his gun, and he's gonna turn on them because he suspects Miko of murdering his friend who, oh yeah, whatever happened to his friend? We saw him later in his demon form, right?
No, he's dead.
In her apartment.
No, that was her grandma.
Oh, okay. I guess that was her friend.
Wait, but didn't we see their friend dressed up and then with the same exact hair, but he looked different because now he had a demon form?
No, that was just a Like, they thought it was his friend, so that's why they, like, grabbed him. It wasn't. It was a completely different person, and that's
so
he's
he
like,
just decided to fuck with him because he's an
yeah,
asshole?
to be a dick. Yes.
Oh, I'm totally misread that scene then, because I thought because when people turn into demons, they look kind of like what they used to look before, but they
still recognize them. Like, they literally was, oh no, you're someone else. Like,
but yeah,
everyone
but they
still
did that
recognized
with Akira too, where like, no,
yeah,
that's
they still
not Akira.
recognized them. No, they were like, yeah, like they knew it was Akira, even though like they knew he was different. Same thing with Miko. They're like, oh, Miko, you look so different, but clearly you're still Miko.
Okay,
that was just a different person entirely.
Okay, I guess I read that wrong because of what the other things were. Okay, so he is dead, and so man, I wish I knew their names, but the green hoodie kid shows up with the gun, gets the gun stolen from him immediately, and Miko goes into this whole speech of like, you have to save Miki, and then shoots herself in the head. Don't like that. I don't like that scene.
It wasn't that you have to save her. It's just do not kill her. Like, I understand you're gonna kill me. I understand I'm this demon thing or whatever. But she is what is
worked with
great
a character
in
that
humanity.
wasn't Miko. Miko is one of my favorite characters of this series, and for me, I know her when she has that final declaration of love for Miki, which was interesting. I wasn't actually sure if it was like it was supposed to be romantic love or it was supposed to be platonic friend love. But
no, that was a platonic friend love spiel that they did. Of I always hated you because you were perfect, and you cast a shadow over me.
So it's
but
platonic.
like I also it was platonic.
Okay, cool. Because that makes me relieved, because otherwise they do the kill the gays trope then as immediately as they declare their love for each other, because they die immediately after that. So I wasn't crazy about that. I mean, I guess you could. I
think it's important for that one.
Nah, we'll let it go. But for me, Miko, I'm like, nope, would never kill herself. Not when Miki's in danger. She would rip the shit out of all those people in order to save Miki. She would not run off to save herself. She would not kill herself in order to make some weird ass plea to these people. She in her heart, she knows that won't work.
Mm-hmm. That's the hope. That's the overlying thing of, yeah, she knows they're not going to stop, so she's dead. She is injured. She can't walk. She's low on energy. They're coming at her with guns and everything.
Oh, also, so guns suddenly work on demons in the last half of the show too, because
again, Rio just told Akira anything he wanted just to shut him up. Yes, you do not have to be a demon to kill demons. It is shown guns kill them just as fine. Just
except for in the first couple episodes where guns do nothing.
Like, I guess it depends on the demon, whatever.
Yeah, Ed, come on, man. Guns are completely ineffective in the first 2 episodes, and then suddenly they're totally effective in the last couple.
Sometimes piercing weapons do not work on the enemy, and you have to go with live attack.
This does seem like a stretch, dude.
Come on, man.
I mean, do you think guns would have worked that well on like giant, like scaly anything? I'm just digressing right here. I'm just whatever. Go on with your point.
I just think that she goes down very easily, and she was willing to kill before all those people on the roof. She murdered the fuck out of them, and we've seen a bunch of other demons wounded too that are pretty effective. I'm like, come on, she would at least take some of them with her. Like this whole, and then again, why does she kill herself? Because it's sadder that way. And I'm just like, guys, you don't have to make the saddest decision every time. It's making this very silly. It's just silly.
So something I have to like go back and just look, because I'm not sure if it's an actual art thing that they did, or maybe I'm just kind of skewing it in my memory. But as we pointed out, once they get possessed by the demons, whatever, like their repressed emotions or anything that they were kind of ashamed of, whatever, like Miko's like
their id
kind of comes out, and they like physically change. Like their faces become kind of sharper, or like they're different but still the same. I want to say, because I'm trying to like think back to that moment where they have the conversation of, I was jealous of you and all that stuff. Like her face kind of reverted back to her original like human face. Like it softened up. And I like I said, I want to go back, because I'm not sure if that's just in my mind at the moment. But that tonal shift, because when she begged for her life, she didn't have, in my memory, that hard demon face. She had her original Miko face of, that's my best friend. Like, she is way better than any of you deserve to be in her presence. Please do not kill her.
Well, I mean, I guess I can see that. I think my main problem is that Travis said is that it's too fast, and none of these death scenes are allowed to breathe in and of themselves. Mm-hmm. So you have no time to process them by the time of the end stuff happens. I don't know. And then Miki running and then passing the baton, that sort of thing, as she gets killed. I'm like, okay, that visually works.
Yeah.
I love that Akira, the whole reason for him not being here is that he's going to go confront Rio, right? He's going to go confront Rio. Yes. He gets sidetracked by helping out those people. Mm-hmm. And then the demons attack them, murdering all those people, apparently. And we get a fight scene. And then he's like, oh, I have to run to Miki. And I'm like, why? You were on your way to do something completely different. To you, nothing else is... to audience, like, we know you have to get there. But for you, you should be off doing your main mission, which is confronting Rio. You have no context for that Miki needs any help. So it's like he completely forgets, or like he has... I don't know. It was weird for me. Like, why is he even running back? Like,
actually, I didn't find anything out of that scene at all. Yeah. Because again, Miki is his most important thing. The fact that he is not with her in the scene is almost weird in and of itself. So I'm not actually that weird about the fact that he ran back to her.
Maybe I'm just annoyed that Akira seems to forget his main mission every time he declares what he's going to do. I'm going to go find the other Devilmen and bring them here. Never does that. Never even gets started on that. I'm gonna go confront Rio. Like, doesn't do that. Doesn't do that until the very end. He is a very reactionary character rather than being proactive.
No, see, that whole point when he goes back, I think I'm trying to remember. And again, like, I just finished rewatching the series because I rewatched it just the other day, whatever. But my memory's kind of terrible. But when he does go back for her, I think it's because at that point he goes. Rio is terrible. Rio is, all this is on purpose. He's trying to destroy humanity. He's trying to, again, kill the thing he was precious. Because as he's running back, he's like, I never should have left her. I have to protect her. Like, that's where his priorities did change. Mm-hmm. Like, he left her alone. He was like, all right, I'll let someone else protect you. I need to go handle Rio. Bad things happen. He's like, no, things are terrible. I shouldn't have left her alone. I need to go back to her. And it was just too late.
Yeah. Well, and to go back to Miko for a point, even if we are to accept that she's reverted back to her original human form, they even undercut that scene because they keep poking her during the speech, and even one guy interrupts, like, if you're gonna kill yourself, just do it already. And I'm like, shut up, guys, let this scene breathe. This is an important fucking scene. You don't have to be... There's a time and place, and I feel like the show never realizes that there's a time and place for stuff.
No, I think it does, but I think it's also saying, like, again, it's very... Humanity is terrible. Humanity is terrible. So, like you're saying, like, give them a moment. Give them this, like, be respectful. The show doesn't believe humanity is capable of that, especially in this type of situation.
I mean, as a writing perspective, let the scene breathe. It's distracting having this guy interrupt her during the scene. It's very important. These are the last words this character will ever utter, and you've disrupted it for a point that you've proven time and again that people are awful. I'm like, I believe you at this point. These people are terrible. Let this speech run its course and don't distract me from it. And I feel like that's a lot of these emotional moments are distracted from because of how silly and crass they want to be during them. And I think that's what my main problem with the writing is here, is that even when they're doing good stuff, they don't let that stuff stand on its own. They feel like if we don't see tits or crude humor or something like that for 30 seconds, we'll lose interest. And I don't know. I found it kind of insulting. I'm not going to lie. Maybe it's because I really liked Miko's character, and I felt like she just got the shaft at the very end.
They all get the shaft at the end.
Well, I don't care about anybody else.
Every single
character. So let's talk about after. So Akira comes back. And let's play the game out again, where the mob has killed everybody, but after they kill everybody, they decide to get the bodies, get back in their cars with the bodies, drive back to the house, set the house on fire, chop up the bodies, put the bodies on spikes, including the heads, limbs, all chopped up,
and then roast
limbs
them
and
like
stuff,
marshmallows.
and start to wave them around like banners, including the 2 previous street toughs that are now waving around the corpses of their dead friends in glee.
Yes.
Even the guy whose motivation for turning on the demon girl was that his friend of the gang got murdered by her is now reveling in the deaths of his friends.
Yes.
Goes completely against the turn of his character, doesn't make any sense, and the overall evil of the humanity in that one, I'm like, it's so over the top evil, I can't take this scene seriously.
Mm-hmm.
You're not saying anything about humanity, because this isn't humanity I'm watching.
No, this is Lord of the Flies at this point.
Even Lord of the Flies was more realistic.
Yeah, it
like,
actually
even
was.
Lord of the Flies was like...
Well, you mean it's not realistic that people in this state of apocalypse, they chose the scapegoat of Miki and Devilman because that is the one on the media. That is the one that said.
I'm not saying that they... Just because
it's that it was very much it was forethought. It was they had to do that. They had to go back.
They came back and celebrated that they took down what they pegged at the moment as the root of the evil. We've killed the Devilman. We've killed the witch girl. We might be good now, or that was awesome.
So even the street toughs reveling in the deaths of their friends makes sense to you?
They decided to kill another person in the state of apocalypse. They are not in a
so
coherent state of mind.
Because it's the apocalypse, everyone acting out of character makes sense.
If shit goes to bananas and that is what is being depicted here, I can blindly accept that, yes.
No, I'm not into it.
That's fine.
It's so ridiculous that it's undercut. I just can't see these people, like, these people are not real people. If they showed them being scared or something that gives them more, like, it, I mean, the demons in the beginning of the show, that ended up feeling love for one another, the Seraph or whatever her name was, Celine, they had more sympathy than any of the human characters at the very end.
That's true.
And that in itself is a point. Like, who were the real demons, the real devils?
The devils. They're the devils. Because they they don't get sympathy at the very end. Even then, they just go back to being straight up evil at the end. There are no good guys in this universe, apparently, other than Miko and her friends.
Even God's kind of a dick.
No, God is a total dick. Oh my God, no, God is the biggest dick out of everyone in this lore, in this series.
God destroys a nuclear warhead after we shoot one. The demons launch a nuclear warhead. God takes it out, but then waits until everyone else is dead before he does anything else, even when other nukes are going off?
Yeah.
Why?
Because God's a dick, and
that's such a lazy fucking answer.
Okay,
why would he get involved in the first place? When another nuclear blast goes off, he didn't save them then either.
Yeah, because God cares, but he doesn't care. Okay, so I'm gonna throw some spoilers out there because we're in this section, and this is not trying to sway you in one way or the other because this is not directly shown in Devilman Crybaby. This is what I have later learned through some videos I've watched, and I've still verified myself. But this is a never-ending punishment to Satan, who Rio is. Big spoilers: Rio is Satan.
It's a time loop, right?
Yeah, it's a time loop, and
yeah, I read that theory as well. Stupid.
Time travel or anything related.
It doesn't make this show any better because
it does not.
Because this show doesn't reveal that it is a time loop up until the very end, kind of, if you interpret it
exactly.
That way.
Yeah.
So I'm like that. So I know what you're about to say is that it's a punishment for Rio because Rio turns out to be Satan. Also, if your twist is that your bad guy was Satan the whole time and it's not Al Pacino, it's not a good twist. Am I saying that I wanted Rio to be played by Al Pacino? Probably. I wouldn't mind it.
Default wouldn't be bad.
And yeah, so it doesn't explain, and I think that's what my problem with Armageddon storylines and Divine storylines is to begin with, is that you can excuse a lot of lazy writing as God works in mysterious ways or God's an asshole, depending on your interpretation of God. And I'm like, nope, if you want to do this right, you do it preacher style, where you give a reason for God to be a dick.
Well, it's not even so much that, is that they actively contradict that in their own backstory. It's like, the demons were out of control, so God killed them all, but none of the humans.
Mhm.
Like, okay, so he can do that at any moment, right? Because he's God, he's all powerful? Yeah. So why didn't he? Meh. Like, okay,
to
but he
teach Satan a lesson.
But he
Wait, repeat
previously
that?
did that.
Mhm.
It is in their canon that, no, last time this happened, God stopped the demons. Like, okay. So there's literally no reason given why he wouldn't have done it this time.
Yeah.
There's no proving that he was a dick. There was nothing.
Should we get into Rio's turn as Satan then too? Because that's the very last episode. So
Yes.
Rio shows up and he's like, Akida's got the severed head of Miki with him and talks to him. And I think that, that's another problem I have with Miki, is that I saw other people saying Miki's death gives Akira the resolve to confront Rio. And I'm like, you mean the thing he was doing before she died? He gives her the resolve to do a thing he was already doing. Great. I'm great they fridged her for that. Fantastic. And I also, even if it was to give a character resolve, I hate that. I hate killing a female character just to give a male character a reason to do something. Like, it's like,
Well, this is from the 70s.
They do that in the comics all the time. Yeah, and in 70 comics, like, I remember the term fridge comes from a Green Lantern comic, where Green Lantern is like, oh, his girlfriend got killed and stuffed in a fridge, and that gives him the resolve to fight crime. Like, you mean the thing he was already doing? He's a fucking superhero. He doesn't need a reason to go and fight crime. And in this one, Akira was on his way to confront Rio. That he stated that's what he was doing. And it's like the show forgets that for a minute. And Rio tells him that I'm Satan. By the way, I have tits. So that's interesting. Which at first I was kind of like not crazy about that either, because I'm like, oh, so the only guy who could be considered a transgender character is literally Satan. But I thought about it and I'm like, well, maybe that's what angels actually look like in this show, in this universe. But again, they don't show any other angels other than Satan, so I can't make a judgment call on that.
Aha.
So I don't know. I'm uncomfortable with it, but it's not a huge problem. It's just a weird thing that I don't think was necessary. Like, why did we give Rio tits anyway?
There are some depiction of angels, as they are in like this way of being like hermaphrodites, which they flat out state in the original manga, which was
okay.
Yeah, they flat out state in the original manga that Satan is a hermaphrodite because that's just how angels roll. And in that version, he actually fell in love with Ryu. I mean, fell in love with Akira, but that's neither here nor there. That's not
okay.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so he reveals he's Satan, and it's supposed to be this big fucking reveal in this exposition. I'm like, okay, they're going to explain why Rio's been an inconsistent and really dumb character throughout this entire series of his plot line. Because Rio said, like, demon, because I was reborn and, subliminally I was acting out my plan. So, okay, well, first thing you gotta understand is that I'm Satan. I fought against God. Didn't win. Didn't work out for me. Shocker. He cast me down to this place, and it was actually prehistoric times. Oh, also demons are dinosaurs. And I'm like, okay, guys, hold up. What are we doing? And I realized that this would have been I would have been down with this if this reveal had happened in the first part of the episode, or first part of the series. Like episode 2 maybe, of like, hey, demons were actually dinosaurs, because that's such a silly reveal that I'm like, oh, I would have laughed at that in episode 2. Now I'm just frustrated that, like, hey, we're trying to understand why this character is doing what he is and what we're doing. I mean, we shouldn't have an exposition dump like this at the very end episode anyway, but as long as we're doing it, can we not introduce unbelievably silly shit while we're doing it? Because I'm supposed to be... the style and tone of the show now is I'm supposed to be taking this seriously, but you're making it really hard to do that. And yeah, he explains that, okay, so demons need humans in order to possess humans in order to, exist, because God eradicated us from this realm of existence, but we exist in, like, I don't know, another dimension or something. They're a little vague about it. But overall, the concept is that they need humans in order to, use their merge ability, which is a thing they also introduce into the last episode. And that's how they roll. So he says, well, I want to do another fight with God. And in order to do that, I need to kill all the humans first. And Akira's next response is not, wait a minute, you just told me you needed humans for demons to possess and exist in this world. How does it make any sense if you need to fight God if you're going to kill all the humans? That's actually dumber than your previous plan before you turned out to be Satan. I don't know, Ed, could you make heads or tails of that?
Okay, yeah, it's pretty much demons and dinosaurs. There were no humans at this time. God kind of like peeked over the universe and was like, I didn't mean to make those things, and I'm mad at Satan, and he likes those things. Kill them all. So he nukes the world. But then reborns it because, he's God. And through sheer willpower, like, the demons are just spirits. They're kind of wandering about, waiting to latch on to something with their, powers to combine and get stronger or whatever. And humans happen to pop up, and so they start possessing humans just because they're, I guess, top of food chain. So, and they established before that they instinctively just cull out the weak and go for the strongest thing available. So all of that. And then, Satan doesn't care about humanity. It's not that he hates them so much, it's just that he thinks they're meaningless. Like, he at first doesn't think anything about love, therefore no feelings, no compassion, none of that. He doesn't understand those concepts and thus thinks...
He does need humans though, right? He needs them because demons possess, or, devils possess humans.
Eventually, but they could also possess animals or whatever. It's just that humans...
But he needs living things on this planet is my main takeaway.
Yes.
So his whole plan to eradicate the humans and having nuclear holocausts and basically destroying the world before God shows up really is not a smart plan. Would you agree?
He's just getting the world ready. Like, again, cohabitation is not possible. If he needs to, like, raise his army of demons and humans are not going to allow them, might as well just kill off the humans, get his army ready.
You have no new troops. All your demons in limbo are stuck in limbo. They have nothing to, possess.
Return to.
Well, yeah, but, like, Satan doesn't care. Again, Satan ultimately gets
so you agree with me that Satan's stupid?
Satan is stupid. Satan is a stupid, spoiled child.
So why does this scene play out like they're philosophizing to me and condescending to me like this all makes sense?
What scene in particular?
Where he's explaining his whole motivation for he wants to fight God and get an army, but yet he's willing to destroy the reinforcements for said army and destroy said army. His plan makes no sense, is what I was trying to say. It's a waste of a good 4 minutes of dialogue. It's a waste.
Okay.
Okay. I mean, take your time. I'm
trying to right now. So you're held up on he's destroying humanity because that could ultimately be his army or whatever.
Well, not just humanity, all of the world, whole thing.
Yeah, well, he's...
Whole kit and caboodle.
Well, they even, they treat it... I love the demons, which was a funny point where the demons were like, quick, we gotta kill all the humans before God shows up. Like, they're lighting a fucking, a bag full of dog poo on God's porch. Like, that was
egging his house.
That was a funny scene where those two demons were like, oh, quick, before God shows up, we gotta kill all these humans, get rid of the corpses. Daddy's home. And... Yeah, so it's a seriously easy narrative fix. What you do instead is instead of killing all the humans, you put the world into chaos, therefore, making the humans, succumb to their evil nature, like the show wants to and then those humans become demons.
Yes,
or you just enslave them all.
Or increasing their armies. That never happens. All the humans stay evil humans, even though in this show's universe, they should be turning into demons right now. They're giving in to their hedonistic evil temptations, and none of those people in the episode 9 turn into demons, even though the mythology of the show is saying at least a couple of them should.
Well, they're also the mythology of the show. They already stated how they have the majority of the American armies. They have stated how they are devilmen all over the world. It's not just Japan that this is happening to. This is a global phenomenon. This has been in the works for a while. There are like thousands of demons already in the world. There are thousands of devilmen already in the world.
Right, so they've been working a while to kill themselves. Interesting.
I mean, they amassed their army. They're like, this is our army. Let's kill everything in preparation for the Grand War. And of course, Satan is a dipshit and developed feelings and compassion for whatever. Like, he grew a little Grinch-like heart.
So, yeah, I have a list here of, there's like a general rule set of for endings, things you're not supposed to do. And by no means does these mean these rules can't be broken, but there's a certain like logic to them. So I remember we talked about this previously with the ending of Mass Effect 3, why it doesn't work either. And here's just a couple rules here. Let's see how many of these resonate and kind of feel similar to this ending. So 1, don't introduce any new characters or subplots. So they kind of do that with Satan, and they retcon it to where, I was actually here the whole time. So I guess not quite, but basically, yeah, they introduce Satan at the very end. Which I'm actually like, if they introduce Satan in halfway through and we really let the whole idea of a sympathetic Satan breathe, that might have been more interesting. Let's see. Don't change voice, tone, or attitude. And this show changes tone drastically at the halfway point. So not exactly the end, but still not a great thing. Don't, and this one, I want all anime to hear this. Don't describe, muse, explain, or philosophize. You're at the end of the story. This is not the place for exposition. And what was the show we were watching? Blood
Battle Blockade?
Yeah. Did the same exact thing as this.
Something BBB.
Where it just ends up
That's
with
all the ending is.
Where the character, this one is not as bad as that, because that one, it takes a whole episode for the fucking villain to philosophize his way.
Oh man, you guys are destroying another series that I really like.
Oh boy.
It's, you gotta, I don't hate all that. I actually find that one really funny most of the way through, but that ending sucks.
It's almost put me to sleep, to be honest. With how much
Season 1, Season 2, overall, what are you talking about?
Season
1's ending.
I didn't even watch Season 2. I was so put off by Season 1's ending. But, yeah, we're not talking about that. We're talking about this. And, yeah, I don't like that Satan just shows up for a good chunk of the first part of the last episode to just explain what's been happening and why and what his motivations are. I'm like, wow, this could have been really helpful if we spread this across a whole series rather than trying to rush this at the very end. And I don't know, like the ending of the show tries to make it's all about Ryo and Akira's relationship. That's what this whole show has been about. And I'm like, really? Because that's the relationship I care the least about. And now Ryo has changed from he's no longer a psychotic pissant, but now he's just boring. Like, and we see the Devilman show up, like, we got Miki's message and we decided to show up. And that one guy from the
track teacher?
Yeah, the track teacher shows up and he's like, he was a Devilman the whole time. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool, I guess. And
they told you that in episode 1.
Right, yeah.
Kind of.
And, like, they show him, like, I thought he was, like, a demon or whatever. And I thought to myself, wow, what a show would have been, what a cool season of this show if this show had multiple seasons. I'm not sure if it's going to get another one. If he had to go and did the thing that he said he was going to do, I'm going to go find the Devilmen and bring them here. If he would go and find other Devilmen. Now they're just nameless fodder. And the end of the series, you can't, don't get me wrong, it's cool looking. Like, it's a really well animated final fight. They rip apart the moon. There's like volcanoes, nuclear bombs. Like, it's everything you think the apocalypse should be. But it's when the Devilmen like fight, it's like, it looks like a bunch. I don't know who's fighting who.
Yeah.
There's no way to tell for me who to root for in this fight. Someone gets brutally, a demon gets brutally murdered. I don't know how to feel about it because I don't know what side they were on. It's impossible to tell. And yeah, I even Akira's like, next time I see you, you're dead, and I'm like, why not now? I mean, you're here. Like,
he had to go bury his girlfriend's dismembered head.
Okay, I mean,
and then gather his troop of devilmen. He needed time to
He didn't
grieve.
even know the Devilmen were going to show up. He thought he was alone from the beginning.
Yeah, that was a pleasant surprise.
What? You mean
he was gonna go fight him alone, but then he got a whole army because she shared compassion. They loved her light.
So he put the apocalypse on hold to go bury the head of his dead girlfriend, even though he's like, no, humans deserve to live in this world. I'm like, well, maybe you should have fought Satan a little earlier. Maybe you could have saved some people and not totally fucked up like you did.
Akira at the end ultimately failed. Like, he is a failure of a hero in that sense.
But he fails in a way that, like, if he had tried his darndest and did everything he could, and the failure was just because he was insurmountable odds, and the light of the show was that even in the darkest hour, we can still fight, and just the aspect of fighting is enough. That would have been cool for me, except that he loses because he's so fucking stupid the rest of the series. There are 3 or 4 different points where he could have averted the apocalypse easily. And not just because I thought about it for a while, because the show set it up and been like, hey, just go confront Rio now, or use the formula to make it humans less paranoid about demons, or anything. But he takes so long to do anything. I don't know. By the end of it, when we realized that, all of the characters' deaths were for nothing, all the suffering they went through didn't change anything. Oh, but wait, not quite true, because now
Satan's sad.
Because now Satan finally realizes regret for the first time. He realizes that, I actually loved Akira, and I've destroyed the one thing I love, and I am now alone. And I'm like, so it's okay that the characters' deaths didn't mean anything, because they did mean something. They mean that Satan, they didn't save the world from being destroyed, but it's okay because they made Satan sad about destroying it. Fuck off.
This is Satan's punishment.
What a lame fucking ending. But I'm not invested in Satan's punishment. I'm not invested in his success or failure. I don't know this person. You've introduced Satan in the last 5 minutes of your show. I don't know who he is. I don't know if he deserves this punishment. I don't know if his actions are just, or what God has to do with this anything, or why God would instruct this in any way. It's impossible to gauge this because it's so tacked on at the ending. And I realized that this is the first live action, this is the first animated show that has used the actual ending of the manga. All the other adaptations have not used the ending, and I know why. Because even if this ending is hard to sell, even if you do it right, and the ending, like this last episode is just piss poor writing going on. Like, don't introduce a whole new concept of villains and devilmen and then make it impossible for me to tell which side is who is on. It makes the fight. It makes me not invested in the fight scene. Don't kill absolutely everyone I care about before the last episode. It makes the stakes a lot less for me because I don't actually care whether or not the humans survive. I don't know. It really, like, episode 9 really put me off, but episode 10 hit the nail in the coffin from like, wow, what a waste of time.
Honestly, like I said, I don't mind nihilistic storylines. If they would have ended the series with the end of episode 9, where it shows, like, the 2 main characters, like, metaphorically riding off into the sunset, I'd be like, if that ended right there, I'd be like, okay, that I don't 100% like it, but I can survive it. I can live with this. Mm-hmm. And then they're like, another episode to go. I'm like, but why?
Oh, but don't worry, there's a Marvel Stinger ending where God has created a third Earth or something, so that's supposed to give you hope or something. I think, whatever. What fucking ever. And I don't know. Again, the animation for the final fight is pretty cool. Oh, also, what was the deal with that fucking? As if in another example to my point, the the Devilman that's in the test tube, with milk, acid milk exploding from its breasts.
Yeah.
And she gets released by what I assume are other Devilmen, and I'm like, whoa, what's going on here? Is she being experimented on by humans, or are those demons in human forms? What's going on? Why? And then suddenly she is like, I'm a Devilman, and explodes exploding milk on her rescuer, dissolving him. And I'm like, what the fuck was that scene? Like, I mean, it brings up an interesting point of like, oh, Devilman being experimented on by humans. That would have been a good plot point in another series that didn't happen. Like, I don't know. And then Psycho Jenny dies from what I assume are humans with jetpacks and lancers. I'm like, who the fuck are these guys? Where did they come from? And what was Psycho Jenny's purpose at all? I mean, even the cat, I'm like, oh, the cat's a Devilman. That's how, oh, he's dead. Well, there goes that. I'm like, oh, so the cat that we've been cutting to for all these transitional sequences that's been eating from this fucking bowl the entire time. And it's like, oh, well, he was actually a Devilman the whole time. Like, oh, well, that's interesting. Maybe he'll have a whole perspective that's new from this. I've been watching you for this whole time. Or, I don't know, maybe he's more of an omniscient character. Maybe he's an angel or like something. But like, no, he just gets killed as soon as the battle starts. And I'm just like, well, why even introduce that element to begin with if you're just going to do nothing with it? And it's like, I don't know, I guess it looks cool. Whatever. I don't know. I'm so put off. But we did promise Ed that we were gonna let him fan gush by the end of this, and I think it's time for that because we've almost been at this for 2 hours.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
So, Ed, without further ado, you have the floor, my friend.
Okay, and again, I know we've been at this for almost 2 hours. I will try my best to be as brief and concise as possible. I have gushed all over the place already. I have defended and explained some of my points of views and everything. But overall, I do really enjoy this series as a whole. I enjoyed the entire ride. The art aesthetic is something refreshing and unique. The music, the OST, got my blood pumping. I really enjoyed it. This series clicked a lot of things that I did not know I needed at the time. I watch a lot more anime. I am flooded with a bunch of isekai repetition. And I don't know, it was just, this came out of nowhere at the right time. It clicked on my buttons. I enjoy the story. I do admit, it is a bit like breakneck in the second course. I do rationalize it is the apocalypse. I understand the tone, that this series goes, and I accept it because it is, I guess, similar in my personal, like, viewpoints and tones. It's I'm trying to gather my thoughts and everything, but I understand.
I just thought you were being consumed by a Devilman for a second there. or are you empathetic to my discomfort? Are you crying on my behalf, Ed?
Of course I'm crying on your behalf.
You
I
don't
understand.
like Devilman? Oh no.
I understand Devilman is not for everyone in content, story, or whatever. It's been around since the 70s. People have had issues with it since the 70s. People like it, people don't like it. And that's all fair and good. I enjoy it. I liked the overall lore and story that took place. I went and looked at everything. There's theories and everything. The whole Satan in a constant loop of it being just slightly different just because God's a dick and wants to punish Satan. The original 70s anime, and there's how that one, in that adaptation, there is no Satan. Another character is thrown in there, and Akira actually gets a happy ending in which him and Miki live happily ever after together. And there's a bunch of stuff. Like, this franchise has been around for a while. This is my first introduction into the series. It was what I needed and didn't know I needed, and I'm just at this point a fan of the series as a whole. The more I read into it, the more I want to explore everything. Maybe down the line, I will change my mind and think, oh man, this is kind of not as good as I thought. But as of right now, it is definitely a contender for my possible choice for best anime of the year so far.
Yeah, and I think that's what shocked me the most is that how many people have said that this is on their best of the year for 2018. As like, and I understand, like, okay, best of Netflix, like, well, Netflix doesn't seem to, like, the from what I hear, I don't watch a lot of Netflix anime, but from what I hear, all of it's very subpar. So I understood that, but then people were saying, like, oh, early contender for best anime of 2018, and
actually,
for me...
Hold on one second. And what do you feel about the Seven Deadly Sins anime?
Yeah.
I enjoy it, but I don't write home about it. Like,
okay.
there is flaws to it, but as a shonen, and again, I know what happens in the manga because my roommate tells me these things, and I know what happens. I enjoy everything but the main character. There are things in the story that I have issues with, but overall, I enjoy it.
Okay. I find that one to be very mediocre, and I've heard people say, like, oh my god, it's so amazing, like, but why? And I just had to bring that one up.
And,
no, it's cool. Yeah, that has that thing. How my roommate sold me and described it to me. The first season that is out so far, and like what's coming up, it's kind of like on a parallel to Dragon Ball Z, like the Namek stages, and that what the content comes in later on down the road gets that much more insane and interesting and cool.
Okay.
And so since I didn't have that foreknowledge, I'm kind of writing it with like an open mind.
Yeah, I think that's what really surprised me is that how many people were like, this is the early contender for best of 2018, and for me, I'm just like, this anime, and it's not this anime's fault. It's because I watched like I said, the previous one, Blood Battle Blockade or whatever, and I think there was another one that I was also disappointed with this ending, and it's philosophical bullshit. And I'm just kind of like, this anime actually made me question, maybe I don't like anime. Like, I was seriously like, maybe it's just not for me, because this, wow, I don't know, for me, not even close. I can already tell you, this will not make my top 10 at all. This is, I feel like, I feel like the emotional weight of what they're trying to accomplish, they're willing to sacrifice, just like poor writing, like just like, yeah, well, it doesn't really matter what we write as long as we get the emotional beats, and even the emotional beats, they don't hit right. And I'm just like, I can't do this. I can't recommend this on an emotional or intellectual level. Like, it doesn't hold up either way, at least for me. But obviously, I'm not sure if we're in the minority, because now I'm starting to see more people come out against Devilman 2.
I'm finding the most I've ever seen is like, oh, I don't like it because it's bloody and gory. I'm like, oh, that's the part I didn't mind in the least.
Oh, I do not mind that at all. That was a point in its favor, because that's what made it so weird and different to begin with. So yeah, I'm just shocked that like the ending does not like put off more people, because for me, like, if I were to,
well, you are a super big stickler for endings.
Oh,
period.
Endings piss me off. Like, a bad ending will piss me off and put me off to your show completely. I do not like bad endings. I'm very particular. But even so, if I were to write an ending like this, for what was it, our ninth grade writing teacher, she would have basically given it back to me and would have basically said, take some Zoloft and write a big boy ending. Like,
well, see, like I don't mind this ending. Like, Satan fucking lost what he wanted in a fit of rage and everything. Like,
it's the distinct
being all powerful,
lack of effort to try and make anything make sense. Like, Satan, just don't even mention Satan wants to fight God. Just, he says he wants to kill all humans because he's disgusted with them, or only the demons deserve to live. I know it's generic, but
or even just have him be like, in a fit of childish rage, kill all the humans.
Yeah, but this whole they introduce the concept and they hit it hard. It's like, I want to fight God, and it's like, that doesn't fit with what you're trying to do at all. What a random thing for you to say, that it doesn't fit with what you're trying to accomplish, and not in a way that's interesting to his character, and in a way that's just like, this is lazy writing. No one thought to go back and tweak a few things so that it makes sense. Give a line of dialogue so that the formula that reveals demon is no longer feasible to put humans' minds at ease.
Or maybe it only ever worked on Devilman to begin with.
Anything. I mean, it's small stuff, really small stuff. It's not like it couldn't have been done. And it's, I don't know, for me, it's just like, it doesn't really matter as long as we make people sad. And I'm just like, well, you made me sad in one aspect because I thought I was watching a really good anime. So in that aspect, it was really sad. But obviously, we are done talking about this because it is.
Yeah.
We're at 2 hours. So, but you know what? Despite disagreeing, this was fascinating. Thanks for coming on, Ed.
Dude, no, it was awesome. Like I said, like I really enjoyed it. So like seeing the perspective of someone who did enjoy it, and like I can see where you're coming from, but at the same time I don't agree. It's great. It's fun. I like these discussions.
I haven't had a good argument in a while.
It's actually funny too because we both agree that we don't like it, but we both agree on different points.
I am shocked that you gave it a 3. I really thought you liked it more than me.
And I even looked at it and like I just like stare at my rainbow like, yeah, that has to be it based off my own system that I stick to. That has to be it.
I thought this review I thought I was like, oh, I'm coming off as the real bad guy, the real stick in the mud.
That is kind of your role most of these kind of things.
Yeah, so I'm like, man, like this nigga's totally, but hey, like I can't believe he gave it a higher score than the other guy.
I'm just sorry you guys don't enjoy it as much as I do. I have so much joy.
Mm-hmm. Well, you know what?
There's nothing wrong with that.
Maybe our next one, if we do another watch another anime and we have you on for it, maybe the next one we'll like more.
Oh yeah, and also just to throw this out, I am actually enjoying the second season of Blood Blockade Battlefront.
Oh, you are? Should I hop back on?
It's mostly character driven in the first part that I've seen.
Okay.
It's all character driven, and if you're a stickler for endings, the ending this second season is not a downer. I enjoyed it, but
I've only actually watched the dub, so it's only
nice.
So it's only actually up to the point where his sister comes into a major function.
Oh, also we should mention the dub acting in here is pretty good.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I did like it quite a bit. Yeah. Anything other last minute we want to mention before we get out of here?
What haven't we mentioned? Oh, his parents die.
Oh yeah. Well, I actually like that one because even though it's super dark and kind of over the top, they give it a little bit of room to breathe in the next episode. Where his surrogate parents are still like, I wonder when she's going to show up, my best friend. I'm just like, but again, that was back when the show was like not like taking itself so seriously. Mm-hmm. So I was like, I thought that was an interesting aspect and was one of the bigger parts of the 70s OVA, I think.
Okay. Was
one of the bigger story elements. So they basically use the very similar style there. With that, thank you so much again, Ed. We're gonna get on out of here, and I don't know. I'm well.
You're gonna go sit in a corner and cry.
I'm gonna go practice giving. I'm gonna go practice trading off the baton because God, we need to see that scene more.
Dude, it's all about connecting. Humanity connecting, man. There's a big picture in everything, man. You just don't see it, man.
Are you sure you don't want to show me Rio not picking up the baton? I didn't get it from the last 7 times you showed it. You should show it one more time, just so I get the metaphor that he's always failed Rio at every point in his other friends. You know what? We're Unapologists to keep going, and we're out.